Thank you for joining us today on the International Leadership Podcast. My name is Joe Beauchamp, your host. I'm also the founder of Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. We provide leadership development strategy, training, coaching, mentoring, consulting on topics such as leadership, communication, personal growth, emotional intelligence, building a culture that is successful. Get all your team developed and growing in the right direction, rowing in the right direction, carrying the burden of your team so that your company can scale the way you want it to. Give us a call or shoot me an email and have your free introductory consultation. Thank you. Thank you to our sponsor, MTL Telephones. That's mtltelephones.com. You want to give them a call at 631-823-7100. MTL Telephones provides voice over IP telephone services, most likely cheaper than the price that you're paying right now, and more options. For example, I use it for my telephone service, and I can answer my call from any device, my laptop, a tablet, my smartphone, or a phone system from anywhere in the world. I can answer it here, or my assistant can answer it halfway across the world. Voicemail messages get transcribed and sent to me as text messages, as well as I can send and receive text messages from that voice over IP. They also have an AI auto assistant so that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, your phone can be answered by an AI assistant that you have trained. So once again, you want to give them a call, go visit their website at mtltelephones.com or call their number at 631-823-7100. Pick option 5 for sales. Give Mike a call. So thank you so much, MTL, for being our sponsor for this broadcast. Well, welcome back. This is episode 17 of the International Leadership Podcast. My name is Joe Beauchamp. I am the founder of Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. We're here to help businesses to break through those leadership bottlenecks and grow their companies through personal development. Today, we're talking about Leadership Unleashed. I've got a very special co-host today, Mark Murray. Mark is one of my coaches on Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. Mark's got extensive business and leadership experience over quite a long time. You can get into that more himself, introduce himself. But today's topic, we're going to talk about Leadership Unleashed. Specifically, there's 3 parts of Leadership Unleashed: inspiration, activation, and transformation. And we're going to focus today on inspiration, being an inspirational leader. So Mark, let the audience know a little bit about yourself. Give us who you are, a little bit of background. What do you like to specialize in?
Well, okay, thanks. I'm a life coach at Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions, and we have been working together for a while now. I was actually coaching Joe for a while, and I like to coach people going through transition in their life. I call myself a pivot man because I've been through pivots in my life, and I help people, whether it be loss of a spouse or a partner, whether it be a domestic partner or a business partner, or graduate who doesn't know what to do with their lives. People who are trying to figure out what the next chapter is, I help people figure out what that is that they want to do, not what I think they should do, but what they want to do. I like doing it one-on-one, but I work with Joe on team building and corporate events as well.
Yeah, that's
awesome. And radio
and
shows and podcasts like this.
Radio shows and podcasts. And you were a great speaker at Live to Lead, which is our annual leadership conference out here in Hop Hog, New York. That's coming up again January 22nd of 2027. Live to Lead, Long Island. Great. It's a full day leadership development conference. We have some great speakers, and it'll be an amazing program. I recommend everybody sign up. The QR code's right on the screen there. Click on the link and sign up for Live to Lead 2027, Live to Lead Long Island. So
Well,
we're talking
thanks for
about,
that. That was a great event. I was happy to be involved with it. We had great speakers, and it was really. I thought it was an event filled with information, and I think the people who attended went home with a lot.
yeah, the goal really is impact, right? So helping people take away strategies, elevation and mindset and new strategies that they can go home and implement right away, go back to their businesses, their families. One of the greatest things I love to hear from our clients is when they say that they're applying these principles to their family and that their family lives are getting better. We've had husbands and wives having stronger marriages, people going back to college, getting degrees, certification, getting promotions, all kinds of great experiences. When you elevate your leadership, everything in your life gets better. One of the things I say all the time is a better you is a better everything. You are the common denominator in every aspect of your life. As you elevate yourself, you elevate everything around you.
And we're talking today about inspiration. It's a great inspiration for me to continue to see the development in people we work with. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's super fulfilling. And that goes back to purpose, right? So one of the things about an inspirational leader is that they lead with purpose, right? There's a direction to go in. People understand, hey, we're making the world a better place by doing what we're doing. We're not just, writing papers or doing paperwork kind of things. We're not just, helping people file their taxes or whatever other kind of businesses, law and, manufacturing, whatever, but we're changing lives. We're making people's lives better by doing the job that we do. And if we can see that bigger perspective and have that higher purpose, I think that's inspirational.
I couldn't agree with you more, Joe. I love it. I love seeing it. I love it's so much. It's rewarding to do it personally, but to see that the efforts that you've made have helped others to reach levels that they didn't think they could achieve on their own. It's just a great feeling.
Sometimes it's just something simple, like even giving somebody, I call it like cheat codes. They're just like cheat codes. I worked with a business that they had no problem telling people this has to get better, that has to get better. Let's do this. Let's change that, fix this, modify that. What they weren't doing is they weren't celebrating the wins of their team. They weren't telling people, hey, this part was actually fantastic. You really, did a great job here. Now the next step is let's do something a little bit different. But they stopped. They weren't celebrating the wins. And there's actually scientific backing on, the number is like 5 to 1. You should be finding people doing stuff right 5 times as frequently as you're finding them doing stuff wrong and asking them to make some kind of improvement. If that ratio is not 5 to 1 or greater, you're going to have, low functioning team, a lower morale. People are going to get frustrated. They're going to think you're overly critical. And that they're going to, because they get emotionally triggered with that, they're not going to be performing their best.
And so much of what people are doing on a team is not seen, right? And so the positive reinforcement helps to get them motivated even when you're not watching. And that's
Right.
that we were talking about that earlier, and how important, people will try to look good in front of you, but if they're actually want to do good, they'll be doing things that you don't even know that they're doing that are helping the cause.
Yeah.
Whatever that.
So as we develop our leadership, right? So better leaders get better results. And very frequently we look at our team and we blame the team. But if we look at our leadership and we develop our leadership better, we're going to get better results from our team. And one of the signs that a leader is leading their team with a good culture and leading the team well and being an inspirational leader is that people will come up with ideas at random days and times. So you might get an email on, a Saturday or Sunday. Hey, I just had this idea. I think if we do this, that, and the other, this particular client will be happier. This particular project will work easier. This product will function better, because they're not thinking, hey, I work a 9-to-5 job. They're thinking ownership. They own the process, the service, the product, the customer. They feel a sense of ownership in the business, and it's personal to them because they buy into it. They love it. They identify with it, and because they identify with it, they want to do more. And so you don't have a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday employee. You have a 24/7 employee who's really out for the company to win.
And even there's some that would not feel awkward reaching out during the work hours. That doesn't mean if they're motivated, then that they're not working for you for free, basically.
Right.
They're home thinking about things. They may not be exchanging emails on the weekend or late at night, but they're thinking about it if they're motivated.
Yeah, they're not just going to give you the bare minimum, right? So a lot of times we'll see employees, they're disengaged. They're trying to fly under the radar. They come in, they want to do a job. I think Gallup did a poll, and they determined that, over 1/3 of the workforce is disengaged at work. And part of that chunk of the workforce that's disengaged is actively disengaged, which means that they're actively working against the direction of the company, right? So they're kind of purposely sabotaging the company out of, resentment or ill feelings or, any kind of negativity. They're emotionally triggered, and that's creating this not only disengagement, but I would say anti-engagement.
When I was a friend of mine in high school, we were in the city. His father worked for the Board of Education in one of the warehouses. He was like a warehouseman. And we were going to go visit him. And we went up to the floor. It was this floor of stacks of boxes. And we went through this labyrinth of little hallways carved out of boxes. And all the way in a corner behind this big stack of boxes, we found him. Danny knew where his father was because he had been there before, but nobody could have found this guy unless they knew exactly where he was. That's a detached employee. I mean, he was as far, you could not find him with a map.
Right. Yeah. And so better leadership gets better results from their teams. Listen, you're never going to get 100% of your team working at 100% of the time, right? So, but as leaders develop their leadership skills, they get more engagement from their employees, better morale, better problem solving, better customer service. Everything tends to improve. Bottom line, results get better. I've had people tell us, Joe, if you would have told us, 2 years ago when we started this process that we would be making these productivity numbers that we're getting today, I would have told you you're crazy. But now, not only are we achieving these numbers, I can see that we're even still on an upward trend to get better, but it's actually easier now than it was back 2 years ago. And the reason it's easier now is because you're using the right tools in the right way, and you have a base of leaders that are all leading with proper leadership skills, being trained in leadership properly, and they're all executing together in a stronger way than they were before. People aren't, rowing in different directions. Everyone's rowing in the same direction with the same vision, the same mission, the same purpose, going in the same direction. And there's strength in that culture and that vision, that direction.
We when I'm with a new group, a team, whether it's a not-for-profit campaign or it's a business that we're working as a subgroup or whatever, I always ask everybody, what personally do they look to achieve within the time frame that we get a chance to work together? What goal can we achieve for you as a person?
Yeah.
And I would always say, I got to get out and walk more, or I got to get out and play more pickleball or whatever it is. And once I gave that vulnerability and made it very personal, then others would fall in line. Now we're all keeping an eye on each other's other personal goal, right. and the team goal falls right into place. And more importantly, there's no pointing at each other. We got each other's back. We're all working towards something right away. And,
right.
and that's an inspirational theme that I try to put together on every team I work with.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Like the mission of the organization and everybody's individual missions in their life, like those purposes, at some point in time, there's an alignment of purpose. So if you're my boss and I know that you are concerned about my purpose in my life, I'm married, I have a kid, I have a house, or I want to buy a house, or I want to get married, or my wife is pregnant, or I want to get, whatever it is, everybody has their own purpose that they're looking at. If you know my purpose and you care about my purpose and you're here to help me achieve my purpose, and for some period of time, let's say hopefully a few years at least, that my purpose in my life lines up with your purpose for this company, like we're going to be in alignment for that period of time. If I know that you have my back, I'm going to have your back, right? So if you care about me, I'm going to care about you, and it has to be the leader showing the care first, right? So there's two components that go into trust. So trust is being trustworthy is one of the most important, and I think the second most important characteristic of good leadership, first being humility, second being trustworthiness, and the third being courage. But to be trustworthy means that I care about you more than I care about me. Like I want more for you than I want from you, right? So I care about you. And second of all, that I have a capacity or I have a competence level to be able to help you, right? So, if I'm let's say I'm a medical doctor, right? I want you to live. Like I care about you deeply. I want you to survive. But my area of expertise is not where you have a disease or an injury or something that's wrong with you. I don't have the competence level to help you to survive. So you really can't trust me in that, right? Somebody brought up a story the other day. Their family member was driving a car in another country where you drove on the left side of the road. Here in the US, we drive on the right side of the road. But in other countries, they drive on the left side of the road. And so that person's family was like, listen, we love you. We care about you. We value you tremendously. We know that you're an expert driver when you're driving on the right side of the road, but we just don't trust you driving on the left side of the road. It's not a care issue. It's a competence issue. We've never seen you drive on the other, with the steering wheel on the right side of the car, driving on the car on the left side of the road. It's just a competence issue, right? So trust is building those two things. Do I care more about you than I care about me? And do I have the competence to actually be able to help you?
And the honesty is so critical as a part of that, because they can sniff out an effort to pretend to care so fast. Yeah. It's so fast. It's so easy to tell.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of leaders, they get stuck, and this goes with being an inspirational leader and the emotional intelligence part, right? So being a resilient, emotionally intelligent, or what I would call emotional fitness, an emotionally fit leader has the emotional bandwidth to care about their employees, because they're not all self-consumed in the stress and the frustration of them surviving as a company, them surviving as an individual, them meeting their own personal goals, right? So when you have that level of emotional fitness, it doesn't seem so critical and urgent. Like it's not like a life or death situation. You have an emotional bandwidth to care about your employees. And when you show that value for your employees, that's when they are going to respond valuing you back. If I show my employees all I care about is me and all I care about is now, you're going to do the same thing. If I'm only concerned about me, you have to watch out for your back, because I'm not watching out for it. But if I, as the leader, can make sure that you're taken care of, you're going to make sure that I'm taken care of. And that together, that's what makes I think that makes an inspirational leader, is somebody who shows that they value their team and has the emotional bandwidth to deal with the stress and the frustration of their own life and their own business stress without letting that, cause their world to shrink in, right? Because when we get emotional, our world shrinks and we go from thinking outwardly to thinking about ourselves. So, those pieces together combine to create an emotionally fit, resilient, inspirational leader. And that inspiration piece is component one of this 3-piece system of Leadership Unleashed.
And the ego is the enemy of the ability to remain emotionally fit, for me. I mean, I buy what my ego's trying to sell me if I'm not very careful about it. And every time I do, I end up suffering. My ego is not my amigo.
My ego is not my amigo. That's a great quote. And I'll tell you that the statement, your ego is the enemy, or ego is the enemy, that's the title of a book by Ryan Holiday, another great book. Ego is the enemy. It brings in Stoicism, right? So Ryan Holiday is like a modern day Stoic philosopher / teacher. And it's a shame that Stoicism has been lost or undervalued for over 2,000 years. But that ability to control our emotions, to not allow external circumstances to affect us internally is huge. And we just ignore that. We think, hey, I'm going to be emotional because you're doing something wrong or something is crazy on the outside world. And it doesn't have to be that way. And a lot of people don't realize that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, I'm going to be emotional because you're being emotional. It's it's almost it's very unfit. It's very young. It's something a child definitely has to do. And then the other problem is we have parents who want to build up their child, and so they stoke their egos for 20 to 30 to 40 years, and don't give the child any opportunity or even any advice on how to separate from the ego. That's got to be taught.
Right.
For me, it had to be taught separately. It wasn't my parents teaching me about that.
Yeah. And when you think about it, every baby is born completely 100% self-absorbed. We don't have a problem with that, right? A baby, we understand that. But our job as parents and as leaders and as humans is to transcend that me, now, immature baby mentality. I call it the baby brain, right? So the limbic brain, which is what gets activated when we're under stress, it really just thinks about me, now. It's survival mode. And I start seeing people as the enemy. I start seeing people as people to push away or people as objects, right? So maturity is advancing past it's all about me and it's all about now to, it's all about others and it's all about the future. And it's all about like leaving a legacy, doing something bigger than ourselves. And there's super value in that that feeling of fulfillment by making the world a better place, leaving it better than we found it. Just even that statement in itself, leave it better than you found it. If that could be everyone's mantra, like leave everything better than we found it, whether it be the earth, relationships, other people, that's a great life mantra. Leave it better than you found it.
I totally agree. And it's just not how we're raised. I think especially in this country, but I think throughout the world, it's pretty much a situation that it's got to be learned at some point. And it's not the parents or even school systems or education systems that are really teaching this. The schools are getting better. I have friends who are teachers at trying to develop, anti-bullying doctrines, but that's not the same as helping to develop emotional intelligence. And the problem is, it's very, it's so hard to. There are people who are never going to get this, right? What we're talking about is rare air. There are people who are locked into their emotional self, and they will die in exclusively emotionally reactive, and that's what they're going to do. And that's just a fact. And the sad thing is, over the last 2,500 years, we really haven't seen a great percentage of the population change in that regard. It's going to be that way. We got emotional thinkers, we got higher thinkers, and it's very hard to educate an entire class about something that maybe a third of them understand or capable of it.
So I'm going to say that thank you for joining us today on the International Leadership Podcast. My name is Joe Beauchamp, your host. I'm also the founder of Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. We provide leadership development strategy, training, coaching, mentoring, consulting on topics such as leadership, communication, personal growth, emotional intelligence, building a culture that is successful. Get all your team developed and growing in the right direction, rowing in the right direction, carrying the burden of your team so that your company can scale the way you want it to. Give us a call or shoot me an email and have your free introductory consultation. Thank you. Welcome to America's virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My name is Joe Beauchamp. I'm one of the founding members here. I'm also the chair of the leadership committee. I'm here to help leaders develop strategies. My company is Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. We help business owners and business leaders to develop their leadership skills, the leadership skills of their team. We know that better leaders get better results, and we provide that leadership strategy, training, and education for business leaders to run their companies better. Hope you can join us at the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce. I look forward to seeing you soon. Yeah. Okay. So most of my life, I believe that my internal emotions were going to be dictated by the outside world. And I saw this t-shirt at Disney one time. I've spoken about this before. It says, "I'm grumpy because you're dopey." And that was like my mantra. Like, I believe that I was allowed to be in a grumpy, frustrated, irritated, annoyed attitude or angry because of external circumstances, other people who are not doing the right thing, or they're, whatever, external circumstances. It was the government, it was taxes, it was the economy, it was business, it was my boss, it was my wife, it was my kids, it was whatever, the weather, right? So to learn that my emotions can be independent of whether it's a sunny or rainy day out, whether I have a job or don't have a job, or I'm getting paid or not getting paid, or whether I got an unexpected bill, I got pulled over by a police officer, or anything that's going on in life. That was a huge realization for me, right? So
yeah, I hear you.
I think there's a lot of people out there that can develop these emotional skills and become better emotionally, and understand that, hey, I don't have to be dictated. Like, my emotions aren't dictated by the outside world. I decide how I feel, what I believe, what I think, how I interact with other people, right? And so that's a journey that I think most people I think can go on that journey. Certainly everybody that's watching today or listening in today to this podcast can go on that journey of self-discovery, self-development, and building that emotional fitness level.
It's a very difficult trip to take on your own, though. You really are better off with at least another person or a team or a group of people to do it with, because that ego keeps coming back in and saying everything's fine. What are you doing? And I listened to my ego my whole life. It got me. And I believe that as a man who grew up feeling self-reliant, that I had to count on myself and I couldn't count on anybody else, only increased that ego and self-centeredness, because I didn't think anybody else was there for me but me. I was wrong about that, but I felt that way, and there was nobody to change my mind about that.
And it's a common misbelief in leadership. A lot of leaders will say, if you want to do it right, you got to do it yourself. If I want this done right, it's got to be me. And that's really not leadership, right? That's going, it's like I can go on a hike in the woods by myself, right? But if I'm leading, there's people that I'm in front of and they're following my leadership. In order for them to follow my leadership, in some degree, I need to be an inspirational leader. And we're talking about the different methods of how you can become more inspirational leadership. So one of the things I want to say is, why do you want to be an inspirational leader? And my answer to that is because inspiration energizes people. And without energy, people don't move. They don't do something different. They don't see the world in a different way. Or if they do see it in a different way, they don't have the energy to go on that journey to get there. An inspirational leader energizes their people. And with that energy, those people can then work the strategy.
Great way of putting it, because it really improves. And we've seen time and time again, increases productivity. Profits go up.
100%. Yeah. Profits go up, morale improves, right? So, I can cast a vision for people. And that's part of being an inspirational leader as well, is being able to draw this picture of a better world than we are on right now, right? If I believe that something in the future in the company, right, more customers, better customer satisfaction, higher morale, better profits, whatever it is, I'm drawing this picture of a business that's running better than it is today, right? And that business needs to be able to paint a picture of the world for their customers better than they are today. They're solving headaches. They're giving peace of mind. They're solving problems. They're making people's lives better. That ability to paint that picture of this vision is inspiring. People want to see that the world can be better than it is today. They want to see that their lives are going to be better, that they're going to be healthier, happier, stronger, faster, more profitable, more secure.
It drives clients.
So the ability of a leader,
like you just said, it expands beyond the company. It drives clients up, feel the same way, and they hire your services. Absolutely. They buy your product because they like what they see.
Right. They can see that vision of, hey, my life is better. I don't have the same headache when I use your product or service, right? I'm either gaining a benefit or I'm losing some pain by engaging. And that's huge in sales. Like, what is your pain point? What is it that's frustrating you right now that we can get rid of that frustration, and then you're going to purchase that product or that service. And so businesses, to be able to do that, need to be able to be inspiring. You're going to inspire your customers to see something better and to be energized to make that decision, right? So there's a process that goes involved with transitioning. That process of transitioning requires energy. That energy that emotional energy involved in making those changes is that inspirational leadership, right? So inspiring people energize the people around them, and with that energy, then they can run that strategy and make that change, do that transition. Like, you're that pivot, you're the pivot man, right? So those transitions in life and in business, we're going to deal with transitions. Who knew that COVID was going to hit? Who knew that there was going to be a war in the Middle East? Who knew all the different things that were going to go on in the world? Nobody knows these things ahead of time, but we do know that something is coming down the pike. We don't know what the exact next thing is coming, but I'm going to tell everybody right now, something is coming. I don't know what it is yet, but it'll be here, and it'll be unexpected. And to be able to pivot, to be able to have the emotional bandwidth, the emotional and fitness level, to be able to be resilient in that and create a vision for how things are going to look better, to be able to communicate that vision, cast the vision, energize the people around us, move in a certain direction, to implement a certain strategy to make life better. That's the role of leaders.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy out to say when something like COVID hits, that's it. And a lot of people did, and that was it,
Yeah.
And but there are others who found the opportunities. Outdoor restaurants became a new thing, and it was we have more outdoor restaurants in Europe now. It's amazing. It's really easier to get approvals for them because people realize it. And it's so important. Right. It's so important to stay on top of customer satisfaction, which we were talking about. And you notice every time you go anywhere where they capture who you are, whether it be a retail store, a restaurant, a delicatessen, any place, they're sending you an email asking you, well, were you happy or were you not happy? Happy about the service? Were you happy with the food? Were you happy about the clothing? Were you happy? They want to know exactly what you liked and what you didn't like, so that they know what they can make as a fine adjustment for making the experience with you better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that takes courage to do that, because it takes a level of humility. If I give a survey out and say, hey, what did you like? What didn't you like? What can I do better? I'm going to have to hear and read those results, and I'm going to have to be face to face with, I didn't do, the best job that I could possibly do. There's something that people didn't like about it that they want me to do better. And that's uncomfortable. Facing that discomfort, right? There's no growth without discomfort. Being able to face that discomfort takes courage, and it takes humility to do something about it. And those are two characteristics of good leadership, which I believe are inspiring to others. Nobody's going to follow a leader that doesn't have courage.
Correct.
We have names for leaders that that don't have courage.
Famous leaders.
They're not good.
Yeah, they're not in the annals of history for good stuff.
Right.
So inspiration, we were talking earlier today about inspiration in leadership, and one of the things I mentioned was, the concept of, if you want a ship built. I told you about Roger Poor. He's a very, very smart man from New England that I know, and he once told me, if you want a group of people to build a boat, you don't tell them what wood to get and how to join it. You have them yearn to be in the sea, and let them take ownership.
Yeah.
With inspiration comes ownership, and ownership is so very important as a leader, to create ownership in your team.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest demotivators is being micromanaged and not having a sense of autonomy. Autonomy is inspirational, where I value you so much that all I need to do is inspire you to love being on the ocean. You will determine the best way to build this ship to fare on the ocean. If I tell you, hey, you must build a ship to my specifications, the probability of you being successful at doing that is low. Like, you'll give me exactly what I asked for. It won't be the best that we could have created if I let you be, if I inspired you to be your best version of you, and I was being my best version of me. The two of us together would create something significantly better than either one of us could create independently. Unfortunately, a lot of leaders who think, hey, if it has to be done right, it has to be done my way, right? Ego is getting involved. I think I know how to do it best. I'm going to suppress your autonomy. Don't be creative. Don't do it the best way possible. Do it my way. I write your checks. I pay your salary. You work for me. You've got to follow my lead. And people will do that because their vision for their life is, I need to pay my bills at my house, take care of my wife and kids. So they'll work for that, but they're not going to be inspired employees. They're not going to be energized. They're not going to be making things, like greatness is not inspired by, a command and control, top down dictatorial type leadership approach. But giving our people the autonomy, valuing their opinion, valuing their input, giving them opportunities to share. The people that are on the front lines, they know it the best. So creating a company culture that values employees for their experience and their ideas and their creativity and opens the door for that, that's where companies really grow.
And micromanagement is the exact opposite. It kills creativity. It kills ownership. And I don't have to, I am not responsible for the outcome of this because you're telling me what to do. You're responsible. I take no responsibility for this. I'm going to do what you tell me to do. And I'm not even going to think about a better way to do it because it doesn't matter to me anymore because you're the big boss.
Yeah. And people throw their hands up. I've seen it over and over and over again. People throw their hands up. They're like, listen, they don't care what I think. I'm just here to get a paycheck. I show up, I do the job they tell me to do, and I go home. Those are not inspired employees.
That's getting half of what you can get out of that employee.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody has a range they can work in, right? There's a minimum range that I will ever allow myself to work at, but then there's a maximum range that can be brought out in me in the right circumstances. Our job as leaders is to see that and to maximize every single person's potential, right? So creating an atmosphere where people believe, like, I see the vision, I know the mission, I'm on this mission together, I believe in this cause, I'm here to make a difference, right? And I'm energized because I've got inspirational leaders who are all in the mission. I'm given the autonomy. I have the ability to make my own decisions, to lead my own way, to be creative. I'm valued, I'm respected. Like, that's where I'm going to be performing my best. That's when I'm not working 9 to 5. I take ownership in this company. I want this company to be successful. If it's 9 o'clock at night and I come up with an idea of how to do something better, I'm jotting that down, sending an email, making a note for myself to bring it up tomorrow's meeting or whatever it is. I'm owning this beyond. I show up at 9 a.m. I work until 5 p.m. I put in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. I do what I'm told, and that's it. Like, that's not leadership. That's I'm going to say that's like prison to me.
It is.
Honestly.
It's horrible.
That doesn't
it's
feel
a terrible way to.
It's not any job I want.
Right. And so in that regard, if something better does come along, there's a lot of employees who do not want to make a change, do not want to give up their whatever seniority they have to start something new, are afraid of it. But for a lot of them, the good ones, they'll make a move because they just don't want to be in that kind of an atmosphere. Getting back to the autonomy part and the micromanagement, it was really hard for me at first to allow somebody to do the work that I did that I thought I was great at. And my ego told me so it had to be true. And to review the work that was done by somebody else, and it was not the way I would do it. And to be able to say, it's adequate. It does the job. It just doesn't use the same manner that I would do it. That doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. And let that go and say, this does what it needs to do. We're going to, and I'm very happy and proud of what you got done here. And you really didn't need any help from me. Let's get this out. Okay. As opposed to, well, I would do it this way and let's move it around this way. That takes all the lead ownership out of it. Now you let him create a paperwork and now you're just changing it around.
Yeah. I was just a few weeks ago, I was working with a young leader, brand new to doing a certain position. he had some responsibilities in leadership. And initially when he came to me for this role, it was all him. He was going to do everything himself. And so I encouraged him to delegate some of those responsibilities to the people on his team. And he did. He delegated it. He delegated pretty much everything to the people on the team. And I saw what they did. And I mean, it's my ego, but I generally think that I'm pretty good. I'm a professional. I've been doing this for 31 years. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know how to present. I know how to, like, I've read the books, I've studied, I do this stuff. I think I'm pretty good at it. These people that he delegated stuff to, I learned from them. Like, I benefited from their autonomy, their ownership of it. They really owned those positions and those roles. They did a better job than I think I would have done if I had those positions, more so than even the person. I'm encouraging this leader to rely on his team and to hand off ownership to them. And those people owned it to such a high level. I couldn't have done it that well. The other leader couldn't have done it that well. Handing it off to these people who own their positions is really what hit it out of the ballpark. Like, those were every person at bat hit a home run, and the entire experience.
There's a cautionary tale to this concept of delegation that I learned the hard way. And that is that there's a difference between delegating and dumping. It's a good thing to delegate something that you're not good at and that you don't like to do. But that doesn't mean that you have to review the work that's being done and ask questions. Right. It's not the difference between telling them to change it and asking questions.
Right. It's our responsibility as leaders to develop and prepare the people on our team for success. So even if we look at the Leadership Unleashed model, step one is inspiration, but step two is activation. And activation requires me preparing my team for success. I think ahead of time. I develop a culture where everybody's thinking of things ahead of time. I've given them every training, every tool, every strategy, every cheat code, everything that they need. I've cleared blockages and barriers and hindrances. Like, I've cleared the way for my team to be successful, and then I delegate to them. Like, I'm not just handing off responsibility. And you're 100% correct. And I've seen this numerous times before. And leaders will complain. They're like, I tried delegating, and everything was a mess. I said, you didn't delegate. You just handed off. You handed off to somebody who had no preparation. They didn't know the decision-making process. They weren't prepared to take on the responsibility. You just abdicated your responsibility to somebody else. And of course they failed. You set them up for failure. As a leader, I need to set my team up for success. And if I do that appropriately, they're going to be successful, and they're ultimately going to be more successful at doing it than I am. Right. So there's actually a number to this. It's 80%. When I believe that my team member is at 80% competency level, that's the time to hand it off to them. They will develop that other 20% on their own. They're going to have their own, added benefits that they have, their own personality and experiences that they have that I don't have, that they can now exceed what I would have considered to be 100% of what I would have done before. Right. So I'm going to hand it off at 80%. They're going to grow that other 20%, and then I'm going to grow it beyond there to 110, 120, whatever percentage. They're going to do a better job than I would have done, because they're adding in, they've got all the good things that I've put into it, plus all the good things that they're putting into it. And that's going to make a product better than beforehand. But the number before I hand it off, and a lot of leaders want you to be 100% on board, the number is 80%. When that person's 80% on board, you hand it off.
And really, to inspire a whole team, when there is an error made, it's very helpful to not look at it as a reason to reprimand anybody, but look at it as an opportunity to grow, and to share that opportunity to grow with not just the person who made the error, but to also include the core team. This is what happened. We don't want this to happen anymore. What we're going to brainstorm here. What's the best solution to keep this from happening again? And celebrate errors as an opportunity to improve the system. And that's not easy to do. Ego gets in the way with that again a lot.
So these are all these pieces are tied together. This is the value of having coaches, having outside eyes and ears, having outside people. And literally the Leadership Unleashed system addresses all these pieces. So it's inspiration, activation, transformation. And that transformation piece is really leadership as coaches. Coaches don't slap you on the hand when you do something wrong. The coach says, okay, this is the intended output. This is the actual output, right? So what got in the way of achieving this goal that we were setting out for? And how do we do this better next time so that we can more likely achieve the goal than we did last time? It's just developmental. If I continuously develop my team and tell them their next thing to do, they're going to continue to grow and develop. And I always bring up this example of when I was a soccer coach. I chose for my final year, and I should have just kept coaching after this because it was working. I chose for my final year. I'm like, I'm not going to be reprimanding my kids for anything they do wrong. No matter what, I'm going to tell them what they did right and what's their next step. And that's it. What did you do right? And what's the next step that you have to develop? And they knew clearly, repeat what I did right and do the next step. It was so simple. I didn't tell them, things like, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you do that? Like, if you're a leader and you're asking your team why something happened or why something didn't happen, you're asking for excuses, right? The only answer to a why question is an excuse. I don't want the excuse. I just want to know, hey, what can we do better next time? That's it. How can we do this better next time? How can we get a different result? How can we overcome a barrier, overcome an obstacle?
And from an inspiration standpoint, since that's our topic today, you're taking it to an emotional level by trying to figure out who's to blame, and you're putting them on an emotional level because they're in a defense and excuses mode. Nothing's going to get accomplished.
Right.
Finger pointing is not going to help.
Yeah. A lot of times, and this is something that we see too, I'll see a leader who I'm trying to help that leader to become an inspirational leader. And they're doing the right things, but they're also doing the wrong things, right? So in one sentence, they're trying to inspire the team, but in another sentence, they're demotivating their team. And the two don't go hand in hand. They seem inauthentic. They're like, oh, this person's just faking it. I know people that have complained about their boss. Their boss is always 99% of the time, the boss is smiling, they're engaging, they seem happy, they're well groomed, they're well put together, everything seems perfect. And that 1% of the time, they yell, they condescend, they insult their team, they micromanage their team. And that 1% of the time makes the other 99% of the time seem inauthentic. And they are not inspiring leaders. They're trying to do the right thing, but because they're doing this small amount of wrong, demotivational stuff, it's ruining their entire leadership.
And they're all wondering which boss is walking through the door this morning instead of doing their work.
That is 100% correct. Yeah. Nobody trusts this boss because that 1% of the time, the person's a little nutty. They're emotional. They're emotionally triggered. And they've accepted condescension as a leadership style. They've accepted emotional manipulation of their team because they get results. If I yell at my team, if I show them that I'm angry, I will get results. I will get short-term results, but I will get results. And it's an ego boost too. I yelled, you conformed, I'm the boss, beat my chest, I win. You don't win, you lose. You lose that day, you lose every other day. You've demotivated your team. You're getting less creativity, less problem solving, less solutions, less teamwork, lower morale, lower productivity, higher absenteeism, higher turnover rates. Everything that's bad increases. Everything that's good decreases if you're that kind of leader.
Yeah.
So emotional fitness is a component of it. Seeing this bigger vision, being on a mission for a purpose bigger than ourselves, right? Dropping the ego, dropping self, caring and valuing our team. These are all aspects of being an inspirational leader, right? So we have to recognize there's got to be a level of self-awareness where I recognize in myself, hey, I'm doing these things that are shooting myself in the foot. This is how I'm demotivating my team. Let me stop doing those. Let me be authentic to my team and admit to them, right? So a lot of leaders don't want to admit to their team that they have these flaws, but your team already knows you have the flaws, so you're not hiding anything from anything. The only thing, if you hide your flaws from your team, the only thing your team thinks is that you don't know that you have the flaws. They already know that you have the flaw, but they just believe, my boss is delusional and doesn't even see that, he is the problem here, right? So because of that, just be authentic to your team. Hey guys, listen, we're all on a growth journey. We're all developing ourselves to become better leaders, better people, better versions of ourselves. I'm doing it too. You're doing it. And we're all in this together. So let's just do it together. I know that I have these flaws. Sometimes I get emotional. I'm working on it. Sometimes I yell. I'm sorry. That was condescending. That's not the person I want to be. I'll be better. I'll do better next time. Hold me accountable for being a better version of myself next time.
Well, that's getting us. You're getting us into the next two steps of activation and transformation is where we're going with future podcasts. But today we're talking about the inspiration.
Yeah. And they do all tie together, but I can guarantee
you can't separate them.
If you look at your leadership, if you say, hey, you know what, I'm really not a very effective leader. My team doesn't show me respect. We're not accomplishing stuff. I try to implement something new and the team just doesn't follow it. They want to do the old thing. I speak, other people speak over me. Other ideas are taken before mine and I'm the boss. Like if you start feeling all those things, I can guarantee you can look at either are you being an inspirational leader? Are you activating your team? Are you clearing the roadblocks? And are you being this transformational leader, holding your team accountable through coaching properly? If you look at those three pieces, you could find areas of improvement in all three. You improve any of those three, and you're going to start to see improvement in your results. Like we say it all the time, better leaders, better results. That's what we're here for. Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. We help leaders to break through the leadership bottleneck. That leadership bottleneck is hindering the performance of your team. If you as a leader develop as a better leader, you will get better results from your team. Bottom line, all the time, day and night, we just see it all the time.
Yeah, if you can't identify the roadblock on your own, you probably are the roadblock. And you can't find it on your own. You're better off with the help of others. And that's what we do.
That's exactly right. No, listen, there's no good team that doesn't have a good coach. Bottom line, right? So every good team, if you're out there in a competitive environment and if you care about winning, you hire a coach. Like it's just plain and simple. Like nobody would bet on a sports team that had a terrible coach. You just wouldn't. Or no coach. Like there is no sports team that has no coach.
Right.
So I could practice as a player. Like I could practice basketball as a player all I want, but if I don't have a good coach, I'm never going to be as good as I can possibly be. And I won't have. And if I join a team and all those players on the team are just playing to the best of their ability without a coach, there's no coordination. There's no team. Nobody's seeing anything from the outside or the bigger perspective, right? So that's the value of having outside eyes, having Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions in there, myself, Mark, any one of the other coaches working with the team, helping people to understand where do they need to grow, how do they do it, how does it work, and then tweaking it, right? So a lot of times I go back to how I learned how to play golf. I learned from a video, right? And I always have a slice when I hit the ball. But when somebody actually coached me, hey, move your foot a little bit here, change your knee position there, look here, move your hips, your shoulders, your elbow, all those little things, those coaching tasks, or those little bit of coaching ideas, little by little, I can see that slice moving straighter and straighter. I was able to hit the ball straight because somebody was coaching me on it. That's the difference between I read a book and I'm applying it to my job versus I have a coach and I'm applying those to my job.
Right. True, brother.
All right, we're going to wrap up this episode of the International Leadership Podcast. Mark, thank you so much for being on the team and for being the co-host of this podcast for today. It's been a great episode. Hopefully, everybody's inspired to be an inspirational leader and to take this and run with it. You can contact us at joe@beauchampteam.com or mark@beauchampteam.com to find out more information. If you want to sponsor the International Leadership Podcast, we're open for that as well. Looking forward to having some sponsors on here. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, we're open to that as well. So give us a holler. We're happy to hear from everybody. And we'll see you all next week on the International Leadership Podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Appreciate you, Mark. I want to introduce you to Live to Lead Long Island. Live to Lead Long Island is a full-day leadership conference. It's hosted by myself, and we have some other great speakers there. John Maxwell will be attending virtually through pre-recorded video, but there'll also be some live speakers there. And it's a day full of inspiration, leadership strategies, life strategies. You will develop yourself as a leader, as an overcomer. My goal is to cram pack as much value into that day as possible. I want more for you than I want from you. You will walk away with tools and tips and strategies that you could use right away to start implementing in your life to get better results with your team, with your family, with your personal self. It's made for everybody, whether you're the multi-billion-dollar leader of a multi-billion-dollar company or whether you're a startup entrepreneur, solopreneur. There is value there for you. So great networking. It's on Hop Hall, Long Island. It's coming up January 22nd. It's a Friday. It's a full day, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. event. Cram packed. You're going to get a delicious breakfast, lunch, plenty of opportunities to network. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's music, there's dancing, there's tools and tips and strategies, everything leadership based. You're going to have a great time. Check out the website, lead, L-E-A-D, L-I for Long Island.com, live2leadli.com. The QR code is down below. Check it out. Register today. If you're interested in being a sponsor, click on the link down there and request sponsorship packages. We're happy to have you as a sponsor. We're selling tables at a discounted price. So sign up today. It's not too soon. January 22nd, it's a Friday, full day event. Live to Lead Long Island. Talk to you soon. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching our podcast of the International Leadership Podcast. Once again, my name is Joe Beauchamp, president and founder of Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. That's beauchampteam.com. If you like this episode, please like it, share it, subscribe to this channel. If you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor of this program, please give me an email at info@beauchampteam.com. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it and discuss options and how it can work something out for everyone to win. Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye.